And it is time once again for another AEW Dynamite review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Hello and welcome. I am Warren. I don't know if we can see Juno in the frame right now. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure we saw that. We saw her snout pop up here for those of you with the benefit of video. And of course she's going away because she's like, oh no, here he goes again, talking really loud about pro wrestling. Yeah, that's what we do here on Thursdays. Hope you're having a lovely week so far. I am. Weather's been wonderful. I've been doing all sorts of lovely stuff at work, been enjoying life in general. And on top of that, another killer edition of AEW Dynamite happened. I don't know what more we can start wanting out of this promotion. How about consistency in keeping this up? That would be tremendous. But not just Dynamite. All of AEW for the past few weeks has been really, 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 really good. It started. There have been a couple of misfires that we talked about. Recently. I'd say about a month ago at this point, maybe 5 weeks ago or something to that effect. But that all-time great Dynamite happened, 3 weeks ago, not even a full month in. And we've just been getting quality programming over on Collision as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, everything is really clicking. Everything is sort of coming together. And it's gotten to a point where if you're only watching Dynamite, and I know I only review the Dynamite, I used to do the Collision, but I just can't do, I can't do too many reviews for just like AEW specifically. That's all. But I don't get to talk about Collision a lot. But it's become a point right now that if you only watch Dynamite, you're missing out on so much great stuff. I don't know if this is a consequence of Rampage being taken off the air, that Collision's quality has been on the rise as well, right? We're not talking about ratings here. Look, this is not the place for that type of discussion. I'm not well equipped or well armed enough to do the deep dives and start talking about the NBA playoff lead-ins and et cetera, et cetera. That's not for me to do. You can get that in you can get that from Dave. You can get that from Joe Lanza. You can get that from Brandon Thurston. Like, these people do it for a living. Okay. So that's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the quality of the show. I'm talking about the actual output. It's been phenomenal. And again, like, is this sort of a consequence to Rampage being taken off the air? You have less time available on television to put your product out there. Maybe it helps streamline everything. I know the meme now is Toni being in the weeds, right? Is helping the quality of the show, and I don't have a doubt. I don't have any doubt really, because the differentiation in booking quality, consistency, logic, just plain old booking logic did a complete 180 since the NFL season ended, and Toni said himself, I'm going to get back involved into things here. I'm going to get back into the weeds. So since that time, things have truly gotten better. Things are a lot more streamlined because, there's one less hour of programming you have to worry about per week. And I think they're doing a fantastic job. I think right now, AEW is extremely interested. We have high quality matches appearing on free TV, pay-per-view quality matches, things that you could absolutely be hanging your hat on for a pay-per-view, and we're getting these on television. It's kind of feeling like it was a couple of years ago when I would be doing these reviews, sitting here and screaming into a microphone every week that we are spoiled with the quality of matches that we're getting. And I got to tell you, I'm getting really close to start talking about being spoiled again. However, I'm not going to, because we've been starved for so long. We've been neglected that it's okay if we're spoiled right now. I don't want to give the impression that suddenly I feel like I'm being overwhelmed with way too many good things. And no, I want many good things. I was kept from having good things for a long fucking time with this company. I'm good with this right now. So I'm not going to sit here and scream we're being spoiled. Not yet. Let's talk again in 6 months if this keeps up. Then maybe I'll be like, look, this is ridiculous. But again, I want to emphasize AEW has been doing fantastic output. They've really been doing great work, putting on some fantastic shows, and the fan base, the live crowd, everyone seems into it. And I think perception is important. We've talked about this multiple times, and I talk about it on stream and on the Mr. Warren Hayes show as well. Perception is important. And right now, the other guys are suffering. They're having a really rough go with their own perception. So why not, double down on efforts and try to benefit from WWE's lack of good press by creating good press of your own. And I think I think the switch in strategy has been very good. And look, go figure that what you needed was to all you needed to do really was start putting on great wrestling shows again. When AEW starts talking about restoring the feeling, right? They haven't done it in a while, but bear with me here. When they were talking about restoring the feeling, and a lot of us was like, show, don't tell. Last night was one of these moments where it's like, where it was an absolute show, don't tell type of show. A show that really did feel like the Dynamites that I loved, that got me into the company, where I was like, yes, this is truly an alternative. It feels like pro wrestling. And they didn't do it by shoving it down our throats and telling us over and over again, we're coming back. We're bringing the feeling back. No, they just flat out went and did it. Started with an incredible, super fun 8-man tag match. Had some really fun matches and a couple of well-done segments in the middle to end with an extremely top-notch, high-tier main event. And that was the formula that Dynamite had for a really long time. And it's the formula that really won a lot of people over. And again, I don't want to sit here and preach about restoring the feeling, because I would much prefer that they create the feeling as opposed to restoring it. And whatever they're doing right now, they are creating something. This is, I also want to make something very clear. This is not the Dynamite this is not the AEW of 2019, of 2020, or post-pandemic, when they were riding a really big high, when live crowds were returning. That's not that AEW anymore. That ship is passed. It's something else now. But nonetheless, they are able to, what they are doing right now is different enough from what WWE does to differentiate themselves, so that they don't come across as sports entertainment junior, and do it in a way that satisfies and brings back some good vibes that it used to have when the product was at its strongest, when Dynamite was much must-see TV. We're getting back into that situation. Now, again, they're not it's a different show. I can't underscore that. It's a different environment. It's a different vibe. But I'll be damned if I'm not enjoying it. I'll be damned if this isn't great as well. I don't know if it's the realization that came once, the WWE guys that they hired came in and it wasn't quite working out because they had a vision and whatnot. Now they're all gone, or all the people who had this very WWE way of seeing things. I don't know if everything's been curbed. I don't know if getting rid of those talents sort of helped clear the air and help the company refocus. But I feel like it's back on track with an identity that does feel like their own, as opposed to trying to do things because WWE is so mega successful and this is what we have to do. No, I think there is another approach. There's another way of doing it. And we're getting that vibe. We're absolutely getting that vibe. All right, let's just get to it. Let's start talking about last night's Dynamite, the one that aired on April 30, 2025, from the Chartway Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Virginia's for lovers. 3,794 tickets distributed via WrestleTix. According to WrestleTix, I should say. The tickets were not distributed via WrestleTix. They were this is reported by WrestleTix, and this is not the final count per usual. Since recording the next day on the Thursday, WrestleTix doesn't put out its final count, but got very close to 4,000. I don't think we'll hit it necessarily, but we were very close to the expected setup of 4,055 seats. This is one of these rare circumstances where AEW returns to a venue that they've been previously and actually did a better attendance than the last time they were here. And when was the last time AEW was at the Chartway Arena in Norfolk, Virginia? It was August 14, 2024, where they drew 3,232, where 3,232 tickets were distributed. I just want to be careful with the language. So a boost this time around. People clearly much more into it, much more excited about Dynamite coming to town. So this has to be perceived as a positive, and well over as well the year to date Dynamite average, which is at 2,746. That's like a thousand more. That's 1,000 more tickets distributed than the yearly average. So all good stuff. These are all good things, good signs that continue to prop up the company. It's still there. The signs are there. You have to be just willfully blind to not see them, or just be of course there's always bad faith. You could be just you can just be 100% bad faith and say they're not doing as good, they're not filling out stadiums, where they stink, business is awful. But I know you're not like that. Yeah, I thought this Dynamite, look, if you haven't understood this already, this Dynamite was great. I think it was another excellent entry into AEW's programming as of late. You're not going to hear me complain much here, especially not regarding this opener where Ricochet and the Elite, being the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada, defeated Kenny Omega, Speedball Mike Bailey, Mark Briscoe, and Kevin Knight in the All-Star 8-man opener. And I like this idea. When they do this, the All-Star 8-man opener, and I think this is great. Look, this was a terrific, super fun PWG style match, and I had a blast watching it. And it lasted like a half hour? It went through 2/4 hour. It went through 2 commercials. Is what I should say. Like, they gave this a lot of time. They gave it a lot of room to breathe, and it did exactly what I think AEW should do more of. And it's using these multi-man situations to create stories, as opposed to having to have like these extended promo segments and, these wacky angles to try and explain why people don't like each other. It can just be like this. And they used to do this much more frequently. So this works because they're setting a bunch of little stages. And look, you saw that Ricochet and the Bucks, they had some affinity. They got along. So this is stuff you can go back to as well. Even though Ricochet is not a member of the Elite, he can still be like an orbiter, right? Someone hanging around that the Elite can go back with. They've established a little more tension between the Bucks and Jet Speed, which is apparently going to be a thing, which I believe is a really good idea. To pair Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey together is a phenomenal idea, particularly after last week's match that they had, which was phenomenal. So I think that's a very good way of I think it's a good way to introduce these two guys as a team of two dudes who can do incredible stuff together. And if there's a little more, if there's a little simmering rivalry that exists between the Bucks and them, well, then it adds a little more juice to the tag team division. And the tag team division has been getting a little more tender love and care these days. It doesn't feel like the desolate wasteland that it was just a few months ago. It feels like there's a legit effort to throw in some teams and have things happen, because clearly you're going to have to build someone up to beat the Hurt Syndicate proper. And the Hurt Syndicate are currently being positioned and pushed as unstoppable beasts. So you might as well start building some people that to give them this great moment. Because look, whoever ends up beating the Hurt Syndicate, it's a tremendous kickoff for a push for a tag team, right? And the tag teams, overall quality stuff. We've got the Bucks back. FTR are back and in form as well. They're in top shape. We mentioned the Hurt Syndicate, Jet Speed. You've got Big Bill and Brian Keith. You still have the Outrunners in the environment, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people. But the tag teams in AEW seem to be coming together a lot more. You'd have the Murder Machines, of course, if Brian Cage wasn't injured. So there's. And look, they've even thrown Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta back together as Roppongi Vice. So there's a lot of interesting things happening in the tag team division right now in AEW, which I feel has some potential. There's definitely stuff going on, and if FTR are heels now and decide to go full force again, and the Young Bucks are still at the height of their powers, I mean, it's going to get exciting again, and it's going to get exciting again real soon. And then, of course, there's the overarching rumor that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are going to team again one more time. Well, that's still something that is soaring overhead. So, there's stuff happening, but I don't want to focus too much on that. I want to focus on this match here. Oh, well, we were talking about the rivalries, right? So, of course, Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, right? Now, I'm going to weigh in on the discourse as to whether or not AEW should have, that AEW needs to explain more why Omega and Okada is a big deal. I'm going to weigh in on this. And I think my take might be a little hotter than some people anticipate. I don't know. Look, is it a hot take to think that, yes, I believe that AEW should be explaining a little more what the significance of Okada Omega? Should they? I think they might. And the reason for this is very different than the reasons that I've heard, which are a little bit out there. But I think it should be done. I think a little more effort should be put into really conveying the importance of Omega Okada, because this is not the same audience that was around in 2019, or in 2020, or even in 2021. If you were to drop Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega in 2021, I promise you, no explanation needed. Audiences go completely bonkers, and it's the easiest story to tell. But this is not that audience anymore. AEW has lost a significant portion of its audience, and I believe that a lot of the audience that they lost were people who were involved, who were people who were much more aware of what was going on in New Japan. I think there was a lot more crossover. I think the Venn diagram crossed over a lot more than it does now. I don't think there's as many people who watch AEW who are also savvy about what's going on in New Japan or what happened in New Japan, historically speaking. I hear Joe Lanza use Tomohiro Ishii as a great example, and I think it is a great comp, and I'm going to use that example here as well. A few years ago, Tomohiro Ishii would come out on an AEW show and would get, these big cheers, whereas now his reception is a lot more muted. It's not as, it's not as if people are pretending not to know him, but it's not as, his welcoming is not as big as it once was. And that is a sign that there's not as many New Japan fans crossing over into AEW these days. This significant amount of people who have left AEW behind after the Brochacho era is still significant, and I cannot stress how much audience they lost in that period. And we say the Brochacho stuff, but also the CM Punk nonsense. Like, what I'm saying is that there's a lot less crossover, and I don't think many of the people who are left are a lot of these smart fans like myself and maybe even yourselves, who just watch a lot of wrestling or will pick up on a lot of wrestling and will stay connected to the vibes and will understand. I don't know how many people okay, Omega Okada is this. We're talking what, 2018? So we're like, what? How does math work? We're like 6 years removed, 7 years removed. Is that how it works? So like 7-8 years, something like that, right? Look, math is not my forte. You know this. I'm an English major, all right? But nonetheless, okay, to be clear, I am not here sitting telling you that none of this should be happening, and I'm not throwing any tables around saying I don't understand why they're doing this. This is nonsense. They're going to sink it, because I think the path that they're taking is still very interesting, but I want to get to that in a second. I do think, though, that the significance and the importance, the historical significance of the Omega Okada series needs to be refreshed a little, because I don't think these are the same fans. And I think we kind of got that last night when Okada and Omega started off the match. It wasn't like this crazy bell pop, right? It wasn't something that you're like, oh shit, like everyone here knows what's going on. And I get that. I also can understand why maybe some fans are like, well, what's so special about this Kazuchika Okada guy? He's practically never on TV. He wrestles once in a while. Yes, he blurts out a great match once every like 9 months. But other than that, like, I don't get it. He's a joke. He's a joke guy. He's a comedy guy, right? This is the guy who says bitch, right? That like, so I can also understand, like, for a fan who is not necessarily aware of everything that is involved with Omega Okada, I can understand why they're like, I don't quite get this. Now, I want to make it clear, super clear. I don't think this needs to be dumbed down to attract the casual fans or to, oh, is this going to chase the casual fans away? No, that this is a path that you can take and the story will develop before your eyes and you'll be fine. Eventually, you'll get it. And I think that might be the story they're trying to tell here. Instead of showing their hand and outright saying, like from the get-go, from weeks ago when you know, from at Revolution, right? Even months ago at this point, when we were at Revolution, Kazuchika Okada came out to sort of give Kenny Omega the stare down. Instead of playing their hand significantly here, the way AEW is doing it is, look, we're testing these waters out. We're seeing how things go. We're dropping these hints, making the audience understand this is where we're going. And eventually, we will get to the story. You will get to the point where you will start to understand. And by doing these tests, by having Okada and Omega face-to-face and not necessarily getting the reaction maybe that we were expecting, well, I'm sure people backstage, Tony Khan, were like, well, we got to start kicking this into overdrive so that people will understand how significant it is. Maybe and the smarter thing is, maybe we can't rest all of our laurels, I think is the expression exactly. We can't rest all of our laurels on the idea that everyone understands this feud, so this rivalry is already built in. No, we're probably going to have to build something in-house to make this feel significant for AEW fans. I think this is what this all means. I think on one hand, it's premature to just like throw this away and saying, I don't understand what's going on. It's a terrible job, etc., etc. Especially since AEW in recent months has been particularly very good with storytelling. They've been very good with setting up the logic and making things make sense and dropping breadcrumbs or giving little twists and then following up on them. They've been really good. So if the plan here is just to create the foundation for the match and then build up from there, I think this is perfectly fine. It's crazy to me that a lot of people who are criticizing this seem to think that this is all that's going to happen. All we're going to do is talk about how great this match was in New Japan and they'll never build anything. Like, they're going to build something for AEW fans. They're going to build something for AEW fans. Now, you know, I've been on the record saying here that I think that this is a travel match. Like, I know we've got Double or Nothing coming up, but I would keep Okada and Omega for All In. I think it's a big enough match for even people who may have fallen out with AEW for a little bit. This is a match that might get them interested. I myself, going to All In, am like, well, Jesus Christ, I'm going to see Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega fight, or I have the potential to see it. And that's exciting to me. Even though we're getting into 10 years past and, you know, Kenny's banged up. You know, it's not the same people physically. I'm still excited to see these two guys who can still go, by the way, and rekindle one of the greatest rivalries in professional wrestling history. Like, that's a selling point to me. Now, if they can make it compelling and dramatic for AEW audiences, I think that's what they need to do. I'm kind of already sold on it, but I think that's the foundation. The foundation is this was a great feud with some legendary matches, and now we're going to get the chance to see it in AEW. Now we're going to make it feel significant for you. And it's a complete, it's booking malpractice. If the idea behind this is, oh, well, these guys had great matches in New Japan, so that's the storyline, folks. I think that's nonsense. And I don't think that's what it's going to be either. I have much more faith in AEW's storytelling these days than I would. If we were talking about this, last November, I'd probably have a little more trepidation. But right now, I don't know. It seems like it's making a lot of sense to me right now. The storytelling in general in AEW. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of overreaction as per usual. Was I bouncing off the walls at the seeing Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega in the same ring? No, not really. But that's just me. I think the attraction is for them to have the one-on-one match, especially in the stadium where you need to draw, 18,000 people or whatever the fuck that you need to draw. That's my thought. I feel like my thought was a little scattered there. I don't know if I'm going to have to re-listen to this and relitigate it myself, but I hope it made sense. In summary, yes, I think AEW has to do a little bit of a better job to make this match feel important. I don't think that this will be achieved by simply relitigating this as a great match from the past. I think they have to build something new for the fans of AEW and also for fans like myself to get more naturally excited about it. Even though I'm looking forward to Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega going at it one more time while they're still at the height of their powers. But I think I think you dive into the history. I think it's foolish to think that that's the only thing that the history is the only thing you can lean on. We're far removed from that era as well. We literally have to write another chapter here. And anyone who seems to think that this is that was an opening salvo. What we got was the foundation. We've got weeks, probably months to build this now. Anyway, we'll see how it goes, and maybe I'll end up being extremely wrong. I won't be. But all in all, this match was the opener was really, really fun. Everyone got some stuff in, and like I said, it was really a PWG style match. It was a lot of fun. There's some controversy over the missed elbows, or people getting upset about it. I'm like, the missed elbow spot when everyone was missing their. I'm like, my God. Like, it's sometimes you do have to lighten up and you have to take a match for what it is. This was the opener with 8 people basically just doing spots and putting on shit just to entertain and pop people. And why wouldn't you want to do that? Gets the energy high, maintains it throughout the show, or at least you hope so. But you get everything off on good footing. It's, stars that people want to see. You get Kenny Omega, you get the Bucks, you get Okada, you get Mark Briscoe. Everyone likes Mark Briscoe. You get Ricochet in there. Everyone likes to scream "You are bald" at him. It's fine. This wasn't that serious. People acting like this was the WrestleMania main event are weird. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. Mark Briscoe lands the Rainmaker on Mark Briscoe. And you see, here's the other thing. We were talking about stories and whatnot just last week. Mark Briscoe beats Ricochet on Dynamite. What does Ricochet do this week? He pushes Mark Briscoe off the top rope. And we're talking about rivalries and stuff. Look, just last week, right? Mark Briscoe defeats Ricochet in a match. Well, Ricochet this week comes back and he pushes Mark Briscoe off the top rope so that Okada can finally get the Rainmaker on him. So we're continuing that little feud as well. Yes, we had the little we had the little thing with Kevin Knight. So we got stuff brewing and simmering. This is all very interesting. I don't know why people can't see this. I don't know why people have issues with it. This is really good. Sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes I don't. Then we had the Hurt Business coming into the arena backstage, and there's a bunch of geeks chanting, "We hurt people," at them, and the Hurt Business come up and they give them a smile, and then they beat the tar out of them. And then after, they discuss Bobby Lashley needing to be convinced about MJF joining the group, talking about business acumen and usefulness. And, Lashley, you get the impression that he's starting to get on board, but we'd find out later on in the evening whether MJF was joining the Hurt Business or not. The Opps defeated the trio of Rhett, Titus, Nick Comoroto, showing back up on AEW TV, as well as Rhett Titus, by the way, and Myles, Hawkins. And this was just a little extended squash to have Joe, Shibata, and Hobbs get their shit in. It comes to an end when Hobbs hits the power slam on Hawkins for the win. After the match, the Death Riders come after the Opps, and they sort of split everyone up. Joe goes off with Mox at the top of the ramp, and I think Hobbs was taking care of Yuta, which left Shibata open to be attacked by Katsuyori, which lets Shibata open to be attacked by Claudio Castagnoli, and Moxley, while being choked out by Joe, sort of points to the ring and says, "Hey, look what's happening to your boy in the ring." And Claudio, I believe, power bombs Shibata onto an inverted chair, opened up and turned upside down. I was very thankful they didn't do anything that would have required to take out Shibata's brain again and put it back in. I was pretty happy about that. And Joe sort of let go of the move, but it was too late. And he saw him go, God damn it. So the Death Riders did essentially what they needed to do. They wanted to hurt Shibata. Joe got pissed off and got on the microphone and said, "You know what? In a couple of weeks, John, when I fight you for the World Championship, we're going to do that in a cage because you can't seem to keep your boys away from all sorts of this nonsense." Now, I appreciate this. I want to make this clear. I appreciate that the challengers look, your boys keep interfering. We're going to do this in a steel cage. We're going to keep them out, and we're going to handle this just you and me. I appreciate that, but I have no faith that that's what's going to happen. No faith at all, because cage matches recently in AEW have always ended up with the doors being open and someone getting in. So I have no faith whatsoever that this is truly going to be a one-on-one match, which bums me out because for a while AEW cage matches were things that I really, really look forward to. They're still good. Like Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay was a tremendous match, of course, at Revolution, but Mark Davis got in and brought in his tools, and what the fuck? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, no one is able to stay out of a cage anymore. It's just like it doesn't matter. The cage doesn't matter. So it's not going to matter here, especially since I think the consensus that everyone seems to have, and if you're paying attention, it sure feels we're going that way, is that we're going to have the anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing, and this is probably going to be like the big impetus, right? It's probably going to be the big event that leads us to the anarchy in the arena match. So we're not going to get a clean decision in the ring. I don't think in the cage match. I should say. I don't think so. There's going to be some nonsense, and it's going to be a very frustrating experience for me. I'm just saying. I just wish cage matches did the thing that they're supposed to do, and that is lock two guys in and keep everyone out. I don't know, but we have to be creative and special now. Renee Paquette has an interview with Mercedes Moné. She discusses her career in AEW so far, the Owen Hart tournament, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of people who are upset that Mercedes is saying that she's the best TBS champion, ever. And people, Jade has held the title longer than her. And come on now, let's not. Why are we doing this? Yes, Jade held the title forever, but we didn't know what to do with Jade, and Jade stunk. Mercedes is currently on a great streak of pro wrestling matches. She's been absolutely phenomenal. Like something clicked last fall, and she has been absolutely phenomenal in every match that she's been in. What are we even doing? Let's just pump the brakes here. We can't start doing this. We can't start doing this. We just can't start doing this. Where suddenly Jade is this entity that needs to be protected, or that her history needs to be retconned. Jade held the title for a long, long time because they wanted to do the Goldberg thing. The streak was a thing, but every match she had was not good. She wasn't ready to be in that spot. She was put in that spot. Her weaknesses were never covered. She was exposed a couple of times. Jade was never really a good wrestler. That's just how it is. So we really do have to pump the brakes on this on this stuff. Yeah, and then she talked about Jamie Hayter, calling her a Scooby-Doo character. I like the little lack of self-awareness when she said, I can't imagine a wrestler dressing up as a cartoon character, which is really, really funny when you consider it's Mercedes Moné. I thought that was just a perfect little, heel lack of self-awareness, which was tremendous. I like. Look, even this interview was pretty good. There's a lot of things that have just clicked in. I feel like in Mercedes' mind, or how she approaches things. She is in a completely different place that she was a year ago, as far as presentation, promos, and so on and so forth. She feels like a part of the company now. She feels like a year removed. She feels like she belongs in AEW, whereas last year at this time, she was struggling, and it was baffling a lot of people. The way she was used was baffling a lot of people, and she's grown into it. I don't know what to tell you, but it's been very good. She's been very good. Definitely an improvement. We get a backstage interview with the Patriarchy. Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, Kip, and Mother Wayne were there. They were being interviewed, putting over the fact that that Nick Wayne is about to leave for Japan to be in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. Jay Lethal interrupts, challenges Nick for a Ring of Honor World Television Championship match tonight. Nick sort of balks at it at first, but Christian Cage grabs the microphone and says he'll do it. And there's still some tension there. Cage accepting the challenge on Nick Wayne's behalf. There was still a little tension, but we'll get to that in a second for the denouement of this little arc for the patriarchy. Toni Storm defeated Miyu Yamashita. I thought this was a fun little TV match. I thought this was good. I feel like Yamashita I don't think is North American TV ready. I think she's really good. But why didn't they let her throw more kicks? Like, that's her entire gimmick. That's the thing. Well, her entire gimmick. That's the thing that gets her over. You know, Miyu, her entire thing is that she's a killer striker. So why isn't she in there, like, popping Toni Storm's head off? Or, you know, kicking her in the gut, you know, whatever. I mean, she did. There were a couple of kicks which were really tremendous. But I don't know why the match was sort of built the way it was. Didn't play to Yamashita's strengths. I don't think she's necessarily TV ready. So feels a little awkward. I thought the match was a little awkward, but a little. Nothing that'll make me go, this stunk, or we should, you know. Where I'd go, you know, just a match that happened. No. I thought this was a pretty fun little TV match. You know, we get the, German suplexes and whatnot, you know, stuff that you expect from Toni Storm. Oh, and there's this one spot where Toni Storm goes for a hip attack on the apron, but Miyu moves away. So Toni Storm gets stuck between the second and third ropes on the outside. She gets stuck. Yeah. You know, like those videos where, you know, where girls get stuck in the dryer, right? You know, those videos, yeah, you get stuck in the dryer. Anyway, look, Miyu then kicks her in the ass after contemplating her ass, you know, rubbing her ass. Look, it is what it is. Toni Storm wins the match with the Storm Zero. It's fine. Like, I gave it 3 1/4. Like the opener, I gave it 3 3/4. And this match, I gave it 3 1/4. I thought it was a nifty little match. I thought it was fine. After the match, Mercedes Moné comes out to stare down Toni Storm, stating her intention to challenge for the AEW Women's World Championship. And but Jamie Hayter comes out to attack Mercedes Moné, who just takes a powder. She hits the bricks. So, you know, we're setting everything up nice and proper. And, you know, the first time that Jamie and Mercedes had like a close confrontation, even though it really wasn't much. But we're getting to that. So, you know, it's like good little exhibition here for the women's division, putting it over. I mean, I look at these three women, I'm like, AEW's women's division really is on another level. It really has been. And, you know, I know a lot of people are worried about Mariah May. A lot of people are really fucking worried about Mariah May. But I am here to tell you, everything's going to be fine if Mariah May decides to go to WWE. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be super fine. Especially when you see that trio right there of women, you're like, no, this is fine. We're absolutely okay. We get a Don Callis family backstage promo where Don Callis basically puts over Takeshita Alexander as a tag team. See what I was saying earlier? And basically hyping up the match, the main event with Kyle Fletcher versus Hangman Page. Then we get another Hurt Business MJF segment with the thumbs up, thumbs down, and we're going straight to business. No nonsense. And I appreciate this. I think, you know, I think this is one of the reasons why I haven't gotten fed up with these segments yet, is that they're not the same overblown segments week after week where it's like, I'm going to give you gifts and I'm going to give you gifts and I'm going to give you more gifts. Like, they did the thing with the women a couple of weeks ago, right? Then last week was the thing with the car, which I thought was a really good segment because I thought they kept it short, compact. Everything made sense. And now this week it was even shorter and it was even more compact because it was like, no, we're getting right to business. You don't have to give us any gifts. We just need a thumbs up. That's all we need. And once again, Shelton and MVP vote for MJF to join the Hurt Syndicate. Bobby Lashley thumbs down after drawing it out quite a bit. And MJF took offense to this. He was not happy. He starts insulting Lashley, and then Lashley gets upset at that and goes and chokes out MJF in the corner, saying, "You want to be a part of this group? You need to hurt people. Go hurt people." And then MVP eventually gets Lashley to let him go, and they walk away. And MJF is looking pensive again. And basically saying, stop doing whatever you're doing and wrestle, which is interesting. What a concept, Max. You're a wrestler. You should be wrestling. That being said, I think I see where this is going. I could be wrong, but I think MJF is going to end up hurting Bobby Lashley. I think that's what he's going to try and do. I think that's the angle that we're going for, right? I think the match that we're trying to go for is MJF versus Bobby Lashley, right? We'll see how that goes. But I thought it was a good segment. We get an FTR video with narrated by Stokely Hathaway, basically relitigating the points that he made last week after joining FTR and becoming their manager. Nick Wayne then defeated Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Championship. I thought this match was all right, but Nick didn't get a lot of offense in. I thought there was a lot of it was a lot of Jay Lethal, but not a lot of Nick, which was, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is exactly. Preserve yourself. Don't do anything stupid. You're about to go to Japan, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I can get behind that, but, I was kind of excited at the idea of Nick Wayne and Jay Lethal trading, but it really did feel like a heel championship match where the babyface challenger comes in, gets a lot of the offense, and then whoop, out of nowhere, the heel champion gets the win. So he hits his fisherman driver, I guess, to retain the championship. He being Nick Wayne, of course. Then after the match, Christian Cage straps the title around Nick's waist and seems very happy, very proud, and walks away, leaving him the ring, not trying to take away his belt or anything. In fact, the entire patriarchy follows him out. So there was a little tension, but you kind of feel like the idea here is that Nick Wayne is coming into his own and he's earning Christian Cage's respect. And Christian Cage, even though he is a shit heel, cannot overcome this and is like, yeah, no, I gotta give the kid his props. He's very good, and he's going to do great things, and he's doing great things. I gave it a 3 flat. And finally, the main event, where Hangman Adam Page defeated Kyle Fletcher in the semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament. God, this ruled! This was so good! This great back and forth physical match between these two great fucking pro wrestlers who decided to do some gay shit in the ring and get all the right people mad. It's tremendous. It was last week that Hangman Page outright said, I'm going to tear your ass open or something like that to Kyle Fletcher. And I'm like, okay. And now this week, Kyle Fletcher rides him literally rides him, to which Hangman, breaks out of. And then what does he do? He slaps his ass. I'm sitting there going, I 100% see what they're doing. I 100% see what they're doing. And if you're upset about this, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know. Like, you shouldn't even be listening to me because I think this stuff is fine. Let me tell you, Hangman Page and Kyle Fletcher doing very gay-coded things, in that match may not have been for you, but, Miyu Yamashita early on in the evening was like we just talked about, was rubbing Toni Storm's ass. So it's like, was that for you? Like, there's a little something for everyone. I can't get it. I can't be upset about that. You give a little something for the gays, for the girls, everyone gets a little something in this show, and it's absolutely fine. And the fact that anyone's getting upset about this is ridiculous, and it's a mask off type of situation. Look, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew who they were catering for. The clip's been going around the internet. It's tremendous. More of that. I'm completely okay with that. What, is it not macho enough for you? Is that the issue? Was it not macho enough for you? You feel insecure? Are you feeling insecure if you didn't like this? Nah, listen, I have no time for anyone who didn't like it. I have no, who outright, were like, well, they shouldn't be doing this type of behavior. It's like, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? For weeks on end, we had Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May shaking their tits, like, for week after week after week on AEW. And literally shaking their tits. You have a problem with that kind of behavior? No? I see what's going on here. It's the kind of stuff that I see the reactions of, and then I'm like, God, I hope they do more of it. I really hope they do more of it. Anyway, Kyle Fletcher's back gets completely shredded in a barricade spot. I don't know. I guess the padding wasn't put on well because Hangman throws him into the barricade. And next time we see him, he gets back up and his back is completely shredded. You know what I liked about this match is that it truly was a back and forth with two guys who had studied each other, who knew what was going on, who understood each other's moves. Hangman at some point is trying to do the Orihara moonsault, which is one of his signature moves, right? And he can't pull it off. And everyone knows about the buckshot lariat. That's not the point, but Kyle is using a lot of intelligence in this match. He's using a lot of brains to try and win this match, even though ultimately it didn't work out because, they start doing some incredible, like they're just dropping each other this entire match. It's just powerful power moves, one after the other. Hangman Page on the floor, moonsaults off the barricade, catches Kyle Fletcher, right? Kind of like when Sonata does the moonsault into the skull end thing, right? So he does that, catches him that way, and lifts him up into a tombstone. And that was rad as hell. That was tremendous. In the ring, he does a Liger bomb and a Deadeye, and Kyle Fletcher kicks out of the Deadeye. And I want to underscore something here. Kyle Fletcher, so good at the little things, and stuff that we've all kind of accepted, I guess, at this point as reality in wrestling, right? So good at the little things. Okay, one of the things that used to annoy me a lot more, but now a lot less because everyone does it, is whenever someone is getting pinned, they'll look at the referee's arms, right? And you see their eyes straight up there looking directly at the ref. So you're like, oh, okay, this is not the end, right? So you're like, oh, okay, the match is not ending here. But Kyle Fletcher eats the Deadeye, Hangman covers, and Fletcher's eyes are closed. He's like, 1, 2. He's not looking. He's not looking at the ref doing the count. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm legitimately there going, oh, fuck. This match might be over, but no, it's not, because Fletcher is awesome and doesn't need to see the ref's arm before kicking out, because that's the kind of professional wrestler he is. And then I saw even Paige does that later on. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to get annoyed again. at people keeping their eyes fucking open and to watch a referee count to 3 instead of just using their fucking instincts and kicking out at the right time. Because I completely bought that spot. I 100% bought it. Because Fletcher was on his back, eyes closed, bucking the entire trend of, the guy or the gal looking over at the ref, the signal that the match is not over, that this match will continue. No, his eyes were closed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this might be it. They got me. So I think I am circling back to getting annoyed when people keep their eyes open during a pinfall to make sure they see the referee and they turn their head, not just their eyes open, they turn the head. They go, they contort. They're like, Christ, sometimes they twist their neck back so hard that I'm like, they're going to need to go to the chiropractors after this. A last ride by Kyle Fletcher. Deadeye on the apron by Hangman, who goes for the Orihara moonsault. He goes for I love this spot because, again, I got suckered into it. He goes for the buckshot. Kyle Fletcher just shoves the referee. Doesn't pull him in front of him, just gives him a shove. So the referee doesn't see when Kyle Fletcher counters the buckshot with a kick to the nuts. Goes for a cover. Hangman Adam Page kicks out at 2.9. I thought that was over. I was like, no. And Hangman ends the match. What a fucking great finish. A fucking great finish on top of that. Goes in the corner, does a corner buckshot lariat. Have you seen one of those? I haven't seen one of those. And then does the buckshot lariat proper for the win. And crowd was on their feet. It was exciting. It was a great match. What did I give it? 4.25, right? 4.25. That's tremendous. No interference. Don Callis and Lance Archer were both there. Both of these guys stayed out. No interference. I'm like, this is it. These are the signs of the great Dynamites. This is it. And this match absolutely tore the house down. I know people like to say, and I myself, we all like to say, a lot of us like to say, that Hangman Adam Page is the protagonist of AEW. And I do believe that. And I think that I might be on my way to changing my mind as to what the main event of All In is going to be. I was pressing hard for Will Ospreay, but I'm not so sure if we shouldn't do it with Hangman anymore. Because, look, Adam Page is incapable of having a good match. And I think he's the most consistent pro wrestler this company has ever had. Every time. These are top tier matches that he delivers. He's just incapable of doing the opposite. And I think that he has grown into his position as being a top babyface guy so much and has added depth to what he does that his second reign at this point is starting to make a lot of sense to me. And it's a guy who, when he's flying high, when he's at the top, this whole company feels good and different. When he's involved, when he's involved in great things, when he's not there, the time that Hangman Adam Page was gone having babies again, the company was not in a good spot. He comes back, people are excited about him, and the arrows are starting to point upwards. What are we even doing here? I think I might be coming around on this. But Hangman, I legitimately believe that he is quite possibly the best all-round performer that company has. A guy who you can heat up in an instant and people are going to buy. You can have him do mid-card stuff or whatever, and then when it's time, you just flip the switch, you start heating him up, and he's good to go. And I think another run as world champion of this company makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's making more and more sense. In the meantime, we're getting him versus Ospreay at Double or Nothing, and, we'll see how things go over the next couple of weeks of build. Maybe that'll help focus my mind. But right now, Hangman and Ospreay, to me, feels like much less of a shoo-in for Will Ospreay to win. And that's cool. Because I love me matches where you really don't know who's going to win, and the winner of the match really has big implications for the company. So this is really exciting. It's really, really exciting stuff. You know, it was kind of like with Swerve and Joe last year, right? I wasn't convinced that, is it the time for Swerve? Is it too early? So on and so forth. Turns out it wasn't too early, And it's had tremendous ramifications and has elevated Swerve Strickland's career 20-fold, 100-fold. Be as big as you want. It had tremendous implications on his career. This is going to be another one of those matches where it's going to be like, it's huge. It'll have big implications. And I don't think the audience loses either way, whether it's Paige, whether it's Ospreay, and the match itself, it's going to be tremendous. Like, these are two guys who are incapable of having bad matches. I just put over Paige, and now we've got Ospreay, who is the greatest, one of the greatest to ever do it. We're going to be having a match at a pay-per-view. I'm going to close it out on this note. We still have the finals to go, but I believe, and I don't even think this is a hot take. I believe that this is the best Owen Hart tournament that this company has put on since its inception. I think it's been the one that has had, first of all, the most stakes, so that's really cool. But most importantly, this is the one that has had the most competition, the most energy. It feels really fucking good this year. This has truly been a great tournament, both on the men and the women's side, by the way. It has been tremendous on both sides. Complete success, the Owen Hart tournament. This is the tournament that I think a lot of us had envisioned when it started. This is what we got. We got some top-tier, top-level stars in AEW pushing through this tournament. So, of course, the tournament feels special. The matches are great. I don't know what to like. Of course, there's still the finals might completely shit the bed, but frankly, I don't think so. Do you really think the finals are going to shit the bed? Do you think that Hangman and Ospreay are going to go out there and have a 2.5-star match? Do you think Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné are going to go out there and have a 2.5-star match? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So, listen, another great episode of Dynamite. I don't know. I've talked about it first and just did the run through of it, and it's tremendous stuff. Really, another great episode, and I'm back to looking forward to watching Dynamite on Wednesdays. That's where I'm at now. And I hope you're back to being excited to watching these Thursday reviews, because we're going to be back next week with another one of these as we wrap this week's up. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you're watching this on YouTube, and a subscription. Otherwise, 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings, and so on and so forth. If you're watching this on Thursday, I'll be streaming tonight, so come say hello. And just keep an eye on stuff. I'm always doing stuff. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and I'll see you next time. Oh, go watch Randy Orton and get back to me, and then now I'll see you next time.